A sudden emergency broadcast announces a deadly virus outbreak at an airport. The infected become violently aggressive, causing chaos. Within 2 months, the virus spreads worldwide, turning people into ferals. Governments enforce quarantines, but protests break out, with some defending ferals as still human. The army steps in, escalating the crisis. One evening, all TV channels go dark. Siblings Abigail and her brother receive a call from their pilot father, assuring them they'll be safe with their mother. Suddenly, a noise from upstairs sends them fleeing outside. As they reach their car, a feral attacks and kills their mother. Abigail hides under the vehicle, forced to witness the creature attack her brother too, but moments later, Abigail's mother, now a feral, finishes off her son. When Abigail cries out, her mother turns on her, only to be shot down by Cassius. He rescues Abigail, comforting her as he puts down her now turning brother. A decade later, the world is in ruins, overrun by nature. Abigail, now a skilled hunter, trains under Cassius. While camping in the woods, a tripwire alarm wakes Cassius, who quickly dispatches a feral scout. Knowing more will follow, they move on. During their journey, they come across a man struggling against 2 ferals. Abigail shoots too quickly, accidentally hitting him alongside one of the creatures. Cassius kills the remaining feral and finishes the wounded man before scavenging supplies. A radio in the car crackles to life, but Cassius warns Abigail not to respond. Moments later, a group of armed survivors arrives, suspecting them of murder. Tension escalates as Cassius and Abigail disarm 2 of them, but before violence erupts, a pregnant woman, Megan, intervenes. Suddenly, a feral horde ambushes them. Everyone fights desperately, but the ferals overwhelm the survivors. A Molotov cocktail explodes, knocking Cassius back. A man tries to end his own life after being bitten, but out of bullets, he turns instead. The group's leader is brutally killed, while Megan's husband, David, barely escapes. Abigail helps the couple into a car, with Cassius fending off more ferals before joining them. They speed away as a massive feral watches his fallen mate, roaring in rage. On the road, Abigail checks their dwindling ammo. Megan reveals they were headed for a riverside colony, hoping to find safety before her baby arrives. When their car breaks down, they continue on foot, eventually reaching an abandoned town. They secure a building for the night, declining Megan's food to avoid contamination. The couple insists the colony is well supplied and has doctors, but Abigail and Cassius doubt its survival. Cassius marks a path for them on a map but refuses to join. Abigail argues they should help, but Cassius stands firm. That night, the horde finds their abandoned car, tracking their scent. Meanwhile, Cassius and David, unable to sleep, bond over their struggles. David, hiding an injury, watches Cassius reveal a bullet he saves for himself if he ever gets bitten. Eventually, Cassius agrees to help them reach the colony. The next morning, Abigail encounters a feral. She drops her gun but kills it with her machete. Another chases her up the stairs, but she outmaneuvers it, sending it crashing out a window. Cassius catches her before she falls. As the horde closes in, they flee. Along the way, Abigail recalls an old airport where her father kept a plane. Cassius dismisses the idea, fearing they'll be trapped, but the group votes to check it out. They come across a car with a fresh corpse. Cassius finds a wheelchair, helping Megan move faster. After they leave, the horde slaughters a hidden family inside a nearby building. Reaching the airport, they find a working plane in Abigail's father's hangar. David begins repairs while Cassius and Abigail search for supplies. As they work, the horde arrives. Cassius opens fire to buy time. Abigail struggles to get the plane airborne but finally takes off. A feral clings to the door, forcing Cassius to shoot it off. However, moments later, the plane malfunctions and crashes in the woods. Fortunately, they all survive. Spotting a nearby train station, they take shelter. Cassius estimates a 2-day journey to the colony. That evening, he reminisces about his pregnant wife, who took her own life after losing her family. Meanwhile, David secretly checks his wound, A bite, not a sprain. He contemplates ending his life but hesitates. The next day, Cassius notices David's worsening condition. Confronting him, he demands David tell the group before it's too late. They find a lit house and approach cautiously. A man named Norton lets them in, requiring them to surrender their weapons. Friendly at first, he shares food and boasts about his self-sufficient home. Megan confesses her baby isn't moving, fearing the worst. That night, Norton rants about humanity's downfall, implying the virus is a form of natural selection. Cassius grows suspicious of his unsettling behavior. Feeling weak, David rushes to the bathroom, discovering his infection spreading. Returning, he finds the group unconscious. Norton drugged them. Now dressed in a lab coat, Norton activates a device that emits a painful frequency, controlling infected people like his caged, feral wife. David wakes in a basement, tied up alongside his friends. Norton, eager to test his theories, unleashes his wife on them. David breaks free, overpowering the creature. Cassius grabs a gun, forcing Norton to flee. The group escapes, retrieving their weapons. Megan's water breaks as they drive off, but the horde pursues them. Reaching the colony, they find the gate locked. With ferals closing in, David sacrifices himself, taking Cassius' bullet before fighting until the big feral snaps his neck. Abigail's screams alert the colony guards, who eliminate the remaining creatures and let the survivors in. Inside, Megan is taken to the infirmary, but Cassius remains wary of the colony's safety. Abigail, exhausted from years of running, wants to stay. The next morning, Cassius learns Megan named her daughter Hope before passing away. Meanwhile, Norton finds the massacre site and discovers the colony. Using his device, he controls the ferals and leads them to attack. As the colony is overrun, Abigail rallies survivors, directing fighters to higher ground and others to a hidden escape tunnel. Cassius and Abigail reunite, battling side by side. Cassius spots Norton and is ambushed by a feral. After stabbing the creature, he confronts Norton, smashing his device. With his control gone, the ferals turn on him, tearing him apart. The survivors escape through the tunnel as Roderick detonates explosives, obliterating the colony and its invaders. While resting, a feral suddenly attacks, nearly biting Cassius. Abigail waits for the perfect moment and shoots, saving him. Watching their ruined home burn, the survivors decide to rebuild at the dam. Cassius, holding Norton's notebook, reveals they now have the knowledge to generate power. A new beginning awaits,